Chosen one, there are seasons in life when you begin to realize that not everyone around you is waiting to see you succeed. Some people watch quietly from the sidelines, observing your struggles with a certain curiosity, almost as if they are waiting for the moment when the pressure finally becomes too much for you to handle. They may never say it openly, but their expectations reveal themselves through subtle signals. Doubt appears in their tone when they speak about your plans. Skepticism shows in their reactions when you share your vision. Instead of encouragement, you may sense hesitation, as if they believe that the difficulties surrounding you will eventually force you to give up. The chosen one often discovers that opposition does not always appear in dramatic confrontations. Sometimes it hides behind quiet disbelief, passive criticism, or the silent assumption that your journey will eventually collapse under its own weight.
These reactions can be confusing at first, because the chosen one may not understand why certain people seem to expect failure. Yet, when you look deeper, the reasons often reveal themselves. Envy, insecurity, and misunderstanding can lead people to doubt the path you are walking. When someone sees a person pursuing a purpose they cannot fully comprehend, it can create discomfort. Instead of confronting their own uncertainty, they may begin quietly predicting that your journey will not last. In their mind, the pressure you face will eventually break you. The chosen one often experiences this form of opposition early in their journey. It can appear through criticism that questions your decisions. It can show itself through discouraging words when you attempt something new. It can even emerge through silence when support would have made a difference. These moments can feel isolating because they create the impression that you are facing your battles without the encouragement you hoped for. Yet these very moments become one of the earliest tests of resilience in the life of the chosen one. When people expect your collapse, the pressure you experience becomes more than just a personal struggle. It becomes a spiritual challenge that forces you to examine where your strength truly comes from. If your confidence depends entirely on the approval of others, these moments of doubt can feel overwhelming. But if your strength begins to anchor itself in something deeper, the expectations of others lose their power over your direction. This is where the chosen one begins learning one of the most important lessons of their journey. Not everyone will understand the purpose God has placed in your life. Some people will misinterpret your persistence as stubbornness. Others will view your faith as unrealistic optimism, and some will simply assume that the difficulties surrounding you will eventually prove them right. But what they fail to see is that the challenges you face are not the end of your story. They are the environment where your endurance is being shaped. Throughout Scripture, God often allowed His servants to encounter opposition before their strength became visible. These moments were never meaningless. They revealed the depth of faith that could not be measured during comfortable seasons. When everything is easy, resilience remains hidden. But when pressure appears and doubt surrounds you, the true foundation of your strength becomes clear. The chosen one learns that opposition does not necessarily mean you are on the wrong path. In many cases, it confirms that you are walking through a season where endurance is being developed. Each moment where someone expects you to fail becomes an opportunity to discover how deeply your faith is rooted. When criticism appears, you learn emotional discipline. When discouragement surrounds you, you learn patience. When support disappears, you learn how to rely more fully on God rather than human approval. Over time, these lessons begin changing the way the chosen one views opposition. Instead of seeing it as proof that your journey is unstable, you begin recognizing it as a test that strengthens your foundation. The pressure that others assume will break you starts shaping your resilience instead. And slowly, something remarkable begins to happen. The same struggles that people believed would cause your collapse become the very experiences that teach you how to stand. God allows these moments not to destroy you, but to reveal a strength that cannot be developed in comfort. The chosen one begins understanding that every expectation of failure is simply another stage where faith can grow stronger. When others watch and assume you will fall, they are only seeing the pressure. What they cannot see is the quiet work God is doing inside you, building endurance that will eventually allow you to stand far stronger than anyone ever expected. Chosen one. While some people watch your struggles and quietly expect that the pressure will eventually cause you to collapse, something entirely different is actually happening beneath the surface. What others interpret as weakness is often the very place where God is building your strength. The difficult seasons you walk through are not empty periods of suffering without meaning. They are the environment where your endurance, patience, and spiritual depth are being developed in ways that cannot happen during comfortable moments. From the outside, people may only see the challenges surrounding your life. They may notice the setbacks, the delays, the misunderstandings, or the moments when progress appears slow. But what they cannot see is the internal transformation taking place within you.
God is quietly shaping qualities that will later become the foundation of your stability. This transformation does not always happen quickly. In fact, it often unfolds through a series of experiences that stretch your limits. The chosen one may face situations that test emotional control, forcing you to remain calm when others attempt to provoke you. You may encounter moments where patience becomes necessary, because the outcome you hoped for does not appear immediately. You may even walk through seasons of loneliness, where encouragement is scarce, and you must rely on your faith more than the support of people around you. Each of these experiences becomes part of the hidden strength God is forming within you. One of the most powerful aspects of this process is that it is often invisible to those observing your life. While others assume that the pressure surrounding you will eventually break your spirit, the opposite is quietly happening. Every challenge you endure adds another layer of resilience. Every obstacle you navigate teaches you something about perseverance. Every moment where you choose faith instead of fear strengthens the inner foundation that supports your future. The chosen one gradually becomes someone who cannot easily be shaken, because the lessons learned during hardship create emotional and spiritual stability. This hidden development is often misunderstood by those who expect immediate results. In a world that celebrates quick success and visible progress, the slow work of character formation can appear unimpressive from the outside. But God rarely focuses on appearances first. Instead, He strengthens the internal structure of a person before allowing visible elevation to occur. Just as a building must have a strong foundation before it can rise higher, the chosen one must develop inner resilience before stepping into greater responsibility. Without that preparation, success could easily become overwhelming or unstable. Difficult seasons therefore become part of God's preparation process. When the chosen one faces pressure, they are learning how to respond rather than react. When they encounter setbacks, they are learning patience. When they walk through uncertainty, they are learning trust. Each lesson quietly builds emotional discipline and spiritual maturity. These qualities become the very traits that allow you to stand firm when future challenges appear. People who expected your collapse often overlook this transformation because they are focused only on the immediate circumstances. They see the pressure, but not the growth taking place inside you. They notice the struggle, but not the wisdom you are gaining from it. What appears to them as weakness is actually preparation. Over time, the chosen one begins recognizing how much stronger they have become compared to the person they were before the trials began. Situations that once felt overwhelming no longer create the same level of fear. Criticism that once affected your confidence now carries less power. Challenges that once seemed impossible now appear as problems that can be solved with patience and faith. This change does not happen because life suddenly becomes easier. It happens because your inner strength has been developed through experience. Scripture reflects this process when it explains that trials produce perseverance and maturity. These qualities cannot be learned through theory alone. They develop through lived experience, through moments where faith must remain steady even when circumstances appear uncertain.
God uses these seasons not to harm the chosen one, but to prepare them for the future responsibilities they will eventually carry. When you look back later, the trials that once felt heavy begin revealing their purpose. They were shaping a strength that could not be created in comfort. The chosen one slowly realizes that what others expected to destroy them was actually building them. The pressure that people believed would force you to fall was quietly forming the endurance that allows you to stand. God was never absent during those difficult moments. He was working within them, shaping a resilience that will eventually make it clear that the strength you now carry did not come from circumstances being easy. It came from surviving circumstances that were meant to break you, and discovering that with God's help, they only made you stronger. Chosen one, there comes a point in your journey when the pressure surrounding your life does not disappear, but something within you begins to change. Earlier in your path, criticism, doubt, and opposition may have felt overwhelming. Every negative word could disturb your peace. Every obstacle might have felt like proof that the path ahead was uncertain. But after walking through enough trials, something remarkable begins to happen. The same pressure that once felt unbearable no longer controls your emotions in the same way. Instead of reacting impulsively, you begin standing firm. The chosen one slowly develops a kind of stability that cannot easily be shaken by external circumstances. This transformation does not occur overnight. It develops through repeated experiences where you are forced to remain steady, even when situations attempt to pull you into chaos. Each time you choose restraint instead of reaction, you strengthen your emotional discipline. Each time you refuse to respond to criticism with anger, you strengthen your self-control. Over time, the chosen one begins realizing that the greatest victory is not always defeating opposition, but remaining calm in its presence. The more pressure you survive, the less power that pressure holds over you. What once felt like a personal attack becomes something you can observe without losing your balance. This shift often confuses those who expected your collapse. People who once believed that criticism would weaken your confidence may become surprised when their words no longer produce the reaction they anticipated. The chosen one learns that responding to every challenge with emotional intensity only drains energy that could be used for growth. Instead, wisdom begins guiding your responses. Silence replaces unnecessary arguments. Focus replaces distraction. And patience replaces the urgency to prove yourself to people who never intended to understand your journey in the first place. This emotional discipline becomes one of the most powerful forms of strength the chosen one can develop. Confidence also begins growing during this stage of the journey, but it is a different kind of confidence than what most people expect. It does not come from arrogance or the need to dominate others. Instead, it comes from the quiet knowledge that you have already survived challenges that once felt impossible. Each trial you endured becomes evidence that you are stronger than you once believed. When new obstacles appear, you remember the battles you have already overcome. That memory creates a sense of calm, even when the situation is uncertain. The chosen one understands that strength is not measured by how loudly you defend yourself, but by how steadily you remain grounded when circumstances attempt to disturb your peace. Standing firm does not mean ignoring reality or pretending that difficulties do not exist. It means learning how to face them without losing your inner stability. When pressure increases, the chosen one does not collapse because their foundation has already been strengthened through earlier experiences. The patience you developed in previous trials now helps you navigate new ones. The wisdom you gained from past mistakes now guides your decisions. The faith you built during lonely seasons now reminds you that God remains present, even when circumstances feel uncertain. Scripture often describes strength as something that grows through reliance on God rather than personal power alone. When the chosen one learns to trust that God is guiding their path, the need to react impulsively begins fading. Instead of feeling controlled by fear or frustration,
you begin approaching challenges with steady confidence. You understand that every trial is temporary, and every difficult season carries lessons that will eventually strengthen your ability to stand. This perspective changes how you respond to the pressure applied by others. When someone attempts to discourage you, their words lose the ability to define your direction. When opposition appears, you no longer assume it means defeat is near. Instead, you see it as another opportunity to practice the resilience that God has been building within you all along. The chosen one becomes someone who cannot easily be pushed off their path, because their strength is no longer dependent on the approval of others or the comfort of circumstances. It is rooted in something deeper. Over time, this steady posture begins changing the atmosphere around you. The same people who once expected your collapse may begin realizing that their pressure is producing the opposite result. Instead of weakening you, it has strengthened you. Instead of breaking your spirit, it has refined your character. And instead of forcing you to retreat, it has taught you how to stand firmly in your purpose. The chosen one learns that true resilience is not loud or dramatic. It is quiet, steady, and consistent. It is the ability to remain grounded when everything around you is uncertain. And as this strength continues growing, it prepares you for the moment when others will begin noticing that the pressure they believed would destroy you only made you stand even stronger. Chosen one. After seasons of pressure, criticism, and quiet endurance, there comes a point when something begins to change, not only inside you, but also in how others see you. The same people who once expected your collapse start noticing something they did not anticipate. You did not break under the weight that surrounded you. Instead, you became steadier. The storms that once seemed powerful enough to shake your foundation have passed, and somehow, you are still standing. In fact, you are standing stronger than before. This moment does not arrive suddenly or dramatically. It develops gradually as the endurance God built inside you begins showing itself through your behavior, your calmness, and the stability you carry into situations that once felt overwhelming. People begin noticing that the circumstances that used to disturb you no longer control your peace. The challenges that once created visible stress now meet a quiet confidence. Your reactions become more measured, your decisions more thoughtful, and your presence more grounded. This visible change often surprises those who watched your earlier struggles. They may have assumed that the pressure surrounding you would eventually wear you down. Instead, they see someone who has learned how to remain composed, even in difficult environments. The chosen one does not display strength through loud declarations or constant defense. Your strength becomes visible through consistency. You continue moving forward when others expected you to retreat. You remain calm when others expected you to respond with anger. And you continue pursuing your purpose even after setbacks that might have discouraged someone else. Over time, this steady endurance becomes impossible for people to ignore. Situations that once seemed capable of destroying your peace no longer have the same influence over you. The challenges may still exist, but your relationship with those challenges has changed. Instead of feeling controlled by them, you now approach them with patience and clarity. The chosen one has learned that resilience does not require dramatic displays of power. It is revealed through the ability to remain stable when circumstances attempt to create chaos. This stability becomes one of the most noticeable signs of your growth. People who once misunderstood your journey begin seeing the quiet transformation that hardship created within you. What they once interpreted as vulnerability now appears as strength. The struggles they thought would expose weakness actually developed discipline, wisdom, and emotional balance. Your endurance becomes visible, not because you seek recognition, but because consistent perseverance eventually speaks for itself. Another powerful aspect of this stage is how your calm presence begins influencing the environment around you. In situations where others feel overwhelmed by pressure, your steady approach creates a sense of reassurance. The chosen one becomes someone who can walk through difficulty without spreading panic or negativity.
This ability often comes from the lessons learned during earlier seasons of hardship. Because you have already faced situations that tested your limits, you now carry a deeper understanding of how to remain balanced when challenges appear. What once felt like chaos has become familiar territory where your resilience quietly operates. Scripture often reminds us that those who trust in God can endure many difficulties while still remaining protected by His presence. The chosen one becomes living proof of that promise. People may notice that while you faced trials similar to theirs, you emerged with a different kind of stability. Your journey demonstrates that faith and perseverance can carry someone through experiences that once seemed impossible to survive.
This testimony does not require constant explanation. It becomes visible through the way you live. Your endurance begins inspiring others who are facing their own struggles. When someone sees that you survived pressure without becoming bitter or defeated, it creates hope for their own situation. They begin realizing that hardship does not always lead to collapse. Sometimes, it leads to transformation. The chosen one becomes an example of quiet perseverance, showing that strength can develop slowly through patience and faith, rather than sudden bursts of determination. Standing firm without resentment becomes one of the most powerful aspects of your testimony. Many people expect that surviving hardship will leave someone angry or hardened. Yet the chosen one often carries a different outcome. Instead of bitterness, you carry wisdom. Instead of resentment, you carry clarity. Instead of revenge, you carry purpose. This emotional maturity becomes another sign of the endurance God built within you. It demonstrates that the trials you faced were not meant to poison your spirit, but to strengthen your character. As people observe this transformation, they begin understanding that the pressure they once believed would destroy you had the opposite effect. It revealed a strength that was invisible during easier seasons. The chosen one, who once stood quietly in the middle of opposition, now stands with a calm authority that cannot easily be shaken. And through that steady endurance, God reveals to the world that the storms meant to break you were actually shaping the resilience that allows you to stand even stronger than before. Chosen one, after enduring seasons where others quietly expected your collapse, after surviving pressure that many believed would eventually break your spirit, you begin discovering something even more powerful than simply proving people wrong. The greatest outcome of those difficult seasons is not the satisfaction of standing while others doubted you. It is the realization that everything you survived has been shaping a deeper purpose within your life. The endurance you develop through hardship becomes something far greater than personal strength. It becomes wisdom that can guide others who are walking through their own storms. When the chosen one looks back at the path they have traveled, the struggles that once felt meaningless begin revealing their hidden value. Every moment where you felt misunderstood taught you patience. Every obstacle that delayed your progress strengthened your resilience. Every criticism you endured helped you develop emotional discipline. These experiences did not simply test your ability to survive. They prepared you for a future where your stability would become a source of encouragement for others who feel overwhelmed by their own battles. The chosen one begins realizing that survival itself carries influence. People notice when someone endures hardship without losing their faith or their sense of direction. Your journey becomes evidence that resilience is possible, even when circumstances appear discouraging. Individuals who are currently facing pressure may look at your life and see a reflection of hope. They recognize that the strength you carry today was not always there. It was developed through the same kinds of trials they are experiencing now. In this way, your endurance becomes a quiet form of leadership. You may not have intended to become an example for others, yet your perseverance naturally creates that role. The lessons God taught you during your private struggles now become guidance for people searching for direction. Someone facing discouragement may find courage through the way you continued moving forward. Someone questioning their faith may rediscover trust in God when they see how your belief carried you through hardship. The chosen one slowly understands that every battle they survived has equipped them with insight that cannot be learned through theory alone. Wisdom gained through experience carries a unique authority because it has already been tested by reality. This transformation also prepares the chosen one for greater responsibility. The stability developed during difficult seasons allows you to handle opportunities that might overwhelm someone who has never faced adversity. Challenges that once seemed threatening now appear as situations that can be navigated with patience and faith. The strength God built within you becomes the very quality that qualifies you for the influence He intends to place in your path. What once looked like pressure designed to destroy you now reveals itself as preparation for a larger assignment. Scripture reflects this principle when it promises that those who remain faithful through trials will eventually experience restoration and strengthening. God does not allow hardship to exist without purpose. Every season of endurance contributes to the story He is shaping through your life. The chosen one may not understand the full meaning of those struggles while they are happening, but as time passes, the connection between survival and purpose becomes clearer. The trials that once felt heavy become the very experiences that give your story depth and credibility. People listen differently when they know your words are supported by lived experience. Advice carries more weight when it comes from someone who has walked through the same difficulties they are facing. Encouragement becomes more powerful when it comes from someone who has already proven that perseverance is possible. This is how God transforms survival into purpose. The chosen one's journey becomes more than a personal story of endurance. It becomes a testimony that reveals the strength God can build within someone who refuses to give up. Others may have expected your collapse, but God was shaping something far more meaningful through every trial you endured. The pressure that once surrounded your life was not simply a challenge to overcome. It was a tool God used to prepare you for the role you now carry. When people see the stability, wisdom, and faith that define your life today, they are witnessing the result of every battle you refused to surrender. Your survival becomes proof that resilience is possible. Your perseverance becomes encouragement for those still struggling. And your journey becomes a reminder that the storms meant to destroy the chosen one can ultimately become the very forces that reveal their purpose. Chosen one, if this message reached you today, remember that the pressure you faced was never the end of your story. Some people may have expected your fall, but God was building strength within you that they could not see. Every trial you survived added to the resilience you now carry. What once looked like a breaking point became the place where your faith grew stronger. If this message spoke to your journey, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who may need encouragement today, and subscribe to the channel for more messages created for chosen ones walking their path with God.